Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a very simple support and resistance analysis process that I do whenever I'm starting off with a fresh chart. Before we get right into it, as always, please make sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up. This greatly helps the channel to keep growing and bringing you all this free content. And as well, remember to check out the video description for lots more videos, playlists, and other offers that I have here on the channel. So for this, I normally do this when I start off with a fresh chart. I'll take off all my volume profile studies. I'll take out all the indicators, anything that I have, and I just start with a pure candlestick chart. Here we have the NASDAQ futures on a weekly time frame. This is generally done. I always do this in a top-down fashion, meaning I start with the highest time frames and then I start going down. And all we're going to use for this is horizontal lines. You know, in trading, probably horizontal lines, I would say, are the most significant levels that you are going to find. And again, this is just going to be purely based on market structure. We're not going to be applying in this video any volume profile or any kind of indicators. So let's start off and take our horizontal line tool. I have two templates that I have saved here for this, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment. But literally all I'm doing is I'm zooming out and I'm just going to put support and resistance levels where I see that there's the most significant reactions on price. So if I go down here near the bottom, I can see, for example, this area. And if you do this, you might want to turn off the magnet mode right here, just because it might be hard to put it in close to where you want to set it. Or you can also just hold down the control button on your keyboard, and that's gonna disable magnet mode, and then is gonna enable. So you can see the icon here, how it disappears and appears when I press control. So that's a little tip just to get more precise levels. Okay, but if you see right here, I put my level and I'm gonna go to my template and I'm gonna select major support resistance. Literally, this is just a horizontal line, and I have enabled it so it shows from the daily, from the weekly, all the way into the daily, hourly, and the minute time frames. And this is going to be my higher time frame levels. And so I have it right there. I like to also lock the drawings after I make them, just so I don't accidentally move them afterwards. But as you can see, in this example, I chose this level because we have significant resistance here before this breakout that we had. And then before that, we had very significant support. We broke down significant resistance. There are some areas, like for example here, that the levels would get traded through. But as you can see, even with this area here that traded through the level, it still gets respected in the future. Now the key for this, you know, this becomes very discretionary how you do it. You don't want to fill your chart with hundreds of lines and make it very messy, but you just want to make sure you're selecting the most significant points. So then from this, I'm going to start looking now for something above. You know, if I have a chart and price is right here, I'm not going to be looking for levels right here because we're probably not going to come into this area for weeks or even months. So I generally try to stay within a close range of where price is at the moment. And every week I just come and I readjust levels as I see necessary. But generally these levels are going to be staying in place for a very long time, especially the higher time frame ones, before I need to move them. So next one, I put this one right here. a very significant high. We also had some support in the past. And again, you'll see now, once we focus on the lower time frames, you'll see how this level recently, once you look at this on the hourly time frame, displayed a very some nice reactions off of this level. Then if we keep going up, next major area that I see, probably right around this area here. Okay, right around that level. If I zoom in, you can see how, especially recently, this level we had resistance. We broke out, came back support. Then right here we had some weekly lows and weekly highs before that as well. So this level is gonna be one of my major ones as well. And then we probably just need, I would say, 1 or 2 more above. And again, remember, after we're done with the weekly or the daily time frame, then we're going to go into the hourlies and look for more refined levels on those lower time frames. Over here, I would say this area was a significant level where we had strong support, strong resistance. We did trade above it, but then you can see in recent weeks we had a very big rejection on this pullback. So for me, this is a significant level. And then let's just do one last one. I would say right around this highs right here. Okay, so now this is the weekly time frame. So if we go into the daily, we can zoom out, and now we can look to refine these levels if we need to. So then right here, this one looks good. Okay. And if I zoom in the last few months, now I can refine them even further. So for example, here on the daily, you can see at this level, this was the resistance area. And then we had this, all the significant touches from both sides. And again, the factors that I'm looking for is how many hits does it have from both directions, the magnitude of the reaction from the hits, also how recent the hits are too. So looking here, going back from the very beginning of this trending move up that we had in May, you can see that we had some very nice reactions to these levels that we have marked. There's probably an important level right here, but I'll most likely mark it once we go down into the hourly time frames. So I think for now, as far as the high time frame levels of the weekly and the daily, I think these levels are pretty good now. You can see, zooming out, just observe and look for all the significant reactions that we've had into these levels. And now let's go into a 4-hour time frame. For this, I generally use the weekly, daily, and then for the shorter term levels, I use the 4-hour and the 1-hour levels to refine them. Okay, so now that we are here, let's look at hourly levels to put on this charts. So I do the same thing. I grab the horizontal drawing tool, but now I'm going to use the minor support resistance template that I have, and it's basically same horizontal line, but I have it in a different color. In this case, I'm using gray. And when it comes to the visibility, now I only have it to show up on the hourly and the minutes. That way, all these levels that I'm going to put in, if I zoom out on the daily or higher, they're not going to show, and it's going to make the charts look a lot more cleaner and organized. Okay, so let's look at the charts. And now let's go and apply this to significant levels recently. So this is the level I was talking about. If I zoom in, you can see we had significant support in these areas. So I'm looking for the most confluence of hits, and probably going right into this level right here. You can see if I zoom in, we had very significant support here back in June. And then going back, we had more support here in September, October. And this week we had a very bullish week. You can see we did have a small rejection there before we continued, but it's still a very good level to keep in mind. And we keep looking to the upside. You can see next level I'm watching right here. We had the significant low, and then over here you can see right around these levels we had support broken, resistance, then it was broken, then support, etc. And then here more support, more resistance here. Okay, so the purpose of having all these levels is that price tends to, as you know, spends more time in consolidation than in trending moves. So all these levels will usually mark some kind of range that price is going to bounce up in. And once we clearly break above a level and retest it, we'll usually expect a reaction with the trend in the direction of the breakout. If we go further up here, right into this area, I know that I'm very zoomed out, but mostly I'm just looking for the edges of price right here. And right around this level is a significant level. We had support before. And you can see on this breakout that we had from Friday, this very bullish week, we've actually held this last level as support so far. And I'll mark it now, because then if we open up and break down below it, probably we're going to retest it and then look for, you know, the lower areas of confluence. And then above that, probably just apply one more level, because again, I don't want to get too far away from price, because it doesn't really make sense to focus so much on areas that are very far away. This one right here is a nice one. You can see resistances, supports, resistance, support, etc. Okay, and now if we go into a 1 hour time frame, we can then even refine these levels further, or you can see, oh, see, I accidentally moved that, so I'm just gonna undo and I'm gonna lock it. So I'm just gonna click on all the levels and lock them so I don't accidentally move them. Okay, so now if we come in here, once we're in the 1 hour time frame, you can see we have all the higher time frame levels that I have in orange, the lower time frame levels in gray, and you can adjust this as you see fit, just to have the most confluence of hits. So for example, if we focus on this level right here, I might move this a little bit further up, just because you can see on this move we had a significant high right here during this trend move up before we came back down and then broke through. So I just moved this level a little bit to the upside, and you can do same thing with the other levels, just refining them. But now that we're on the hourly time frame, you can see how these levels, for example, this was one of our big levels we marked on the weekly and the daily, and you can see on the hourly how many precise hits and reactions we've had from that level that we've had marked off, that comes back from many months back. Okay, and that's pretty much the process that I use. Here I'm gonna bring up, just to show you as an example, this is the chart of the crude oil futures. This is the 4-hour chart, and the same thing. If I zoom out to the daily, in this case for this market, you can see that I only had 3 higher time frame levels marked off on this crude oil market. And if I go down into the hourly, you can see that I had 4 levels marked. And this arrow that I have here marks off 3 weeks ago. I did a market analysis video for this that I released on YouTube, and you can actually go back and look for that video that came out in mid-October. And all these levels right here had been marked off on that day. So I had done the same analysis on the crude oil market back 3 weeks ago. And just to show you how now we've had 3 weeks of price action following, and you can see the significance and reactions to this level. So for example, we opened, and that high from Monday was the level that I had marked off for the lower time frames. The low of Monday, Tuesday, look how we held at this level that I have marked off, which was very important support, resistance the previous week. Then here we broke down below this level, and then we had significant resistance. This daily level, 83.04, was very strong support for 3 days last week. Then we broke through this week, and then we've had 3 days of resistance at this level. And now we've broken through, and we're failing to come back above this 81.01 level that I had marked. So now if we fail and come down, then I'm looking at 77.84 as the next target, etc. So I just like to mark all these levels and use them as targets, and also places to help me set in terms of my entries, my stops, take profits, etc. And if you zoom out, it may look like you have a lot of levels, but if you're day trading these markets, for example, and you're using lower time frames like the 5-minute chart, well, you can see that these levels are actually pretty spread out once you're looking at this on lower time frames. And then you can see, for example, on this 5-minute chart, all these opportunities that you would have had to operate right around these levels. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you're having a great week. Any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.